some people say, why are you doing this? You don't need this. And then sometimes I answer, well, that's precisely why I'm doing it, because I don't need it, because I want it, because it's something I believe in.
Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast. My name is Oscar Monajo, and I am the host of the Set Apart Podcast. And this is an episode where we're going to have somebody talk about leadership and second chances and really go through, life. There's a lot of things that our guests have. Our guest today is Felipe Eduardo. He's the vice president of Sixto Packaging and of sales and marketing. And then he's also the co-founder of Castaway Coffee, a new coffee that's really making a big impact, not only in our community, but, throughout the nation. So we're excited to hear about that. So we're happy to have you on.
I'm happy to be on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Oscar.
You got it, man. The biggest question that I have, and honestly, I think is the most important question is, how does it feel to be my brother-in-law?
It's indescribable. I mean, to have someone that's just so awesome in every aspect.
No, I just wanted to ask you because I think it's important for people to know, that we're family, So we have a business relationship, but we also have a personal relationship. But they don't know about that personal relationship that we have. And tell us a little bit more about, early on in your childhood, because, a lot of people in the show, and me personally, like who I am today is is because of who I was as a kid, the things that I did in sports, my parents. Tell us a little bit more about you as a person growing up.
Well, I got lucky early on to meet Oscar when he was, 5, 6 years old. Watch him grow up, seeing the man he's become, and, very proud. Very proud of him. Very proud to be here today. It's definitely an honor. As a child, I was a very lucky child. My parents were very loving, very giving. I had everything I ever needed, which is wonderful. Great education, great home, healthy home. Had the opportunity to do a lot of things that most kids don't do, especially on the outdoors, fishing, diving, hiking, traveling around the country, really seeing how the sacrifices that my father did, during or had to endure during working long hours and creating his business, how it helped develop who I am today, and it was key because I'm the same person today that I was at 18 to a certain degree.
Just a little older.
A little bit of gray hair here and there. Learned a little bit of lessons, which I'm sure we'll go over.
Yeah.
But the core, the same person. I love my hobbies, which are definitely a very big part of who I am and what I do in business and philanthropy. In entrepreneurship and everything, it all goes down to my core of the love for the ocean and fishing and diving.
You said you used to do trips, and I think we had talked about you guys used to do like these big RV trips, and talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I was I think the first large RV trip I did with my family was we went about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, from Miami all the way out. Grand Canyon up to Yellowstone, Salt Lake City, Yellowstone, Mount Rushmore, all the way to Des Moines, Iowa, where we got to see a bunch of corn and the Winnebago factory. My dad was obsessed with RVs at the time, and he had a dream project of converting a bus to an RV, to a big one. And we did it. We did that. But we went to the Winnebago factory. That was like, the most random thing to go on a vacation, and we did. We got the tour. We learned.
What an experience, because not a lot of kids, and families honestly do that. And like you were saying, and that hit me because the sacrifices that your dad made, allowed for that opportunity. In that moment, you didn't think about it. Now
you're granted, of course.
Now you're like, wow, it's hard for me to take 3 weeks out in RV. Like, it just shows you how much work he had to put to have the fruit of that labor come out.
Absolutely, and it's very much appreciated. And we try and do trips with our kids now. Whether it's going out skiing in Wyoming or go to North Carolina. We're planning to do a trip eventually, a road trip similar. Yeah. Not as long. I can't afford 3 weeks, but maybe a week or 10 days. Go out to the Southwest and check out all the national parks and all that, because this country is amazing. Has so much to see out there. So.
Absolutely. And so you graduate high school and you go into FIU, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into law? How did that outdoorsy fisherman, that person, the football player, get into studying law?
So there's a couple things that helped more for me. One was my love for the outdoors, my parents, and then my second mom, which was my grandmother. My grandmother lived with us. She was my grandfather was a mayor in Cuba. My great-grandfather was a senator and vice presidential candidate in Cuba. So at an early age, I always got to hear some of my grandfather's speeches and have that influence and love for politics and law from my grandmother.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So she always, I'm talking 5, 6 years old, she was always drilling about his life and his experiences in Cuba and everything that they endured coming over into exile. So I always loved history. Actually, in the 6th grade, I was my wife is probably going to laugh at me because I'm mentioning this, but I was actually a National Geographic bee champion in 6th grade and like won in the state of Florida. So I always loved geography. I loved history, and when I went to high school, there were a couple teachers who really helped. Help me flourish, push you a little bit in history and international relations and things like that. So I got to FIU, and that's kind of the first time I got to study what you like. After the first semesters, you do all the other requirements. You start studying a little bit of what you like, and really fell in love with political science, international affairs.
Yeah.
And,
going back to Columbus, because it was Columbus you went to.
Yeah.
Was there somebody there that you said, "Wow, I can really see how this person impacted, my my career"?
There was three actually. Alex Mirabal, who was one of my history teachers, Linsky, Coach Linsky, and Coach O'Brien. All three were coaches of mine and history teachers, and political science teachers. And they helped me grow into the man I am today as well. They're all people that really played a part in creating Felipe. Yeah.
So you go through FIU, and one of the coolest things I think that you've gone through in your career is that you were a special assistant to President Bush. How did that even happen? Like, how do you go from playing football, going to FIU, and then before you know it, you're working in the White House? So
in FIU, I had the opportunity to study under a couple important professors. One of them was Carmelo Mesalago, an economist, pretty renowned economist dealing with Cuba. And I was his teaching assistant. Learned quite a bit from him. Wrote several papers and chapters in some of his books, and I got a. When I applied to law school, I got accepted into American University, moved up there, started going to school at night, applied for a job. It was just a random job at a nonprofit dealing with democracy movements in Cuba. Started working on it, started networking, and over the course of the years, built up a relationship with several people that allowed me to interview and eventually get that job at the White House.
That's crazy. And you talked about Cuba. What has Cuba played in a role in your career and in your life? Like, is it? What about Cuba that means so much about you? Other than the obvious, our parents are Cuban. But to really, knowing you, who you really are, what you've done. For me, I feel like you've done a lot for Cuba and for people to know about, for a free Cuba.
Yeah, I mean it's part of our heritage, but more importantly, I'm a big proponent of civil society and pro-democracy movements. Civil society is key to any free society. Civil society is everything from schools, organizations, nonprofits, the media. It's everything that's not government that creates a free society. In this country, we're lucky. We have a very strong civil society. This is part of the civil society right now. We're voicing our opinions about a number of topics, and that shape government policy by putting pressure. In totalitarian governments, they restrict civil society, and that's something that
that means a lot to you.
It means a lot to me, and it still does. I'm still in that world, and we'll get into that a little bit later on some of the new work that I've been working on.
I'm excited
and how it relates. But yeah, so Cuba was obviously important, still is important. I'm not involved in that in that job anymore in the pro-democracy movements, but it's still very near and dear to my heart, and I still hope and pray to see a free Cuba in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that are happening now, I feel like it's really like I feel like it's about to explode, more than ever. But and a lot of people are really, not only in the U.S., I mean, not even in Cuba, but in the U.S., a lot of people are really trying to where before it was kind of like known or nobody really talked about it. So let's see what happens there. One of the things that I really wanted to focus on, or at least go into, was the transition between that, in the government affairs and the transition out of that. How was that? How was that transition coming out of that government affairs to, essentially to a family business? Because now, you're the vice president of Sixto Packaging.
Yeah. So when, unfortunately, being young and naive, made several mistakes that did get me into some trouble, and I ended up having to resign and lose my job, basically, and then I ended up moving back to Miami, and it was there where I was basically given a second chance. Sometimes in life you need someone to give you a hand, and it just happened so be that my father and my uncles extended that hand to me and said, well, here you go, prove yourself. So when I started working for them, I started at the bottom. I started running a press for 6 months, helping them out. A printing press. Here's a guy with plenty of education, 3 degrees, learning the business, and I understand why they did it. They wanted me to learn the business from the bottom up, which is something that I was willing to do, willing to take courses. So I took online courses on flexographic printing, on flexible packaging, on engineering. Learned the entire business of flexible packaging, which was the family business, and slowly but surely over the course of 6 months, 8 years, 6 to 8 months, transitioned out of that and started putting my spin on it and bringing the expertise that I brought to the table, which was really, like my youngest son says, the power of gab, the power to talk.
Yeah.
He tells me all I do is drink coffee and talk all day, and that's exactly what I do. I create relationships and meet people and network, and that's how I grow any and all of my businesses is with relationships. It's 100% relationship driven. And I started doing that, started building a network of suppliers, of friends in the industry, of customers that have helped Sixto Packaging become a force to be reckoned with in the industry. We've grown significantly. We've won several awards throughout the years. And we're not stopping. Right now, actually, we're in the process of purchasing another $3 million printing press, which, if everything goes according to plan, we could double or triple our business in the next 3 to 5 years. So it's significant.
I know you, but there's still things that you say that, because not everybody knows everything about the person they really think that they know, because it's just, life is so fast, and we really never can sit in a setting like this. But how do you feel that you have, not how you feel, but how do you feel the fact that you started in the printing press, years ago, a few years ago, and now, the company has really grown in size, not only in size, but in organization. It to me, I almost see it as almost a different company within being the same company. How do you feel about that in terms of, your grandparents and your uncles and your family?
I mean, obviously, it's an honor, and I'm part of a legacy that we've built that was started way before me. The whole story of our company starts pre-World War II in Cuba, where my grandfather was milling corn, starting a pasta business before World War II, and then in Cuba had a pasta business, one of the largest on the island. Of course, it was all confiscated. He came over to this country. He tried to restart that business, and unfortunately, the pasta market had been cornered. So he started losing money, ended up basically going bust. He owed money to the person that was making his bags and his paper bags and his cellophane bags. And then he decided to go work off his debt, like a true man. Worked off his debt. Eventually, bought all the equipment, and that's how Sixto Packaging was born. And then, my father and my uncles, along with my grandmother, ran that business for years and years.
In Cuba?
Here in Miami. They started in 1966 or something, 1967. Wow. Unofficially, I think officially in 72 is when they incorporated. It was from a garage. I mean, it is truly the American dream story of creating a company. So that legacy was founded a long time ago. And I had the honor to join the company, bring new blood, new life, new ideas, innovate. We have a very strong team. Oh, hello?
Yeah. We got disconnected?
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. We have a very strong team of family members and a great number of employees who are almost like family, been with us a long time. And we complement each other. We argue, we fight like any family, but at the end of the day, we work as a team in unison with our strengths to make the company better.
And how has it been working with family? Because when I obviously me and Isabella started the company, and then a few months later, we brought Foz in, and Foz joined, and people were always telling me, you shouldn't go, like, he's your best friend, you're gonna ruin your relationship with him, and he's family. And I feel that that I wouldn't have John Bell, and we wouldn't have John Bell, and we wouldn't be John Bell, if we weren't family. How is it working with family and that dynamic of family? Because I know that for a big time, a majority of the company was family or is family.
I mean, the management is all family, and I think it's not easy. It requires compromise, but it gives us strength. I mean, we're a very close family. Not the entire family's in the business. The family that's in the business, we're very close. As you know, we work together, we fish together. We're very we're a very tight knit family. Yeah. It allows us to speak our mind openly with each other, sometimes with expletives, when they're required. But at the same time, you could sit down, have a board meeting, which we call lunch. Every day we have a board meeting, and you have the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer around a table. We're discussing business like you and I are talking now. So it allows us to transcend this bureaucratic corporate structure and cut red tape, which, at the end of the day allows us to service our customers better. And that same family attitude of managing the company is what we've tried to get all of our employees
to buy in.
To buy in, and the way we deal with our customers to buy in. We're very, very relationship driven. We try and not just be a supplier. We try and be a strategic partner to our customers.
Is it true that you guys, serve lunch for every single employee, every single day, every single shift?
Every single day, every single shift, we serve lunch. It's a considerable amount of food and money, but it's something that.
Yeah. Why do you guys do that?
Well, my grandfather started it. It's a benefit for the employees, but at the same time, it's a printing operation. You have machines that keep running. If you have to stop, or people go out for lunch. Traffic in Miami is hard. It's difficult. Not everybody will make it back on time. So we've made it a conscious decision to have that as an investment, as a benefit to our employees.
What's something that you think that you guys, obviously you guys have been doing it for a long time, but what's something that you personally have seen out of that lunch that you said, if it wasn't for that lunch and that us doing that, we, this wouldn't have happened? Is there something specific that comes to mind where you're...
Not really.
Not really?
No, not really. No.
I think overall, because we try to be there, but there's so many conversations that that it's like 10 emails can be solved in just a regular lunch. So you're in a family business that really have is propelled, is grown, but Felipe is still his own person and his own entity in your in your family as well. The entrepreneur spirit has always been there. When did you make the decision to say, hey, I want to be, I want to do this with Sixto Packaging, and I'm not going to leave that, but I also want to be an entrepreneur and I want to start other businesses? Yeah.
So always, I mean, once I started working at Sixto Packaging, I've always been involved doing other things on the side, but it's typically been in the food and beverage because it's the space that I started learning. When at Sixto Packaging, the relationships I was fostering were in that sector. So whether it's passive investments in companies like a salmon farm or whiskey or what have you, or some smaller snack food companies that I had started in the past and ended up selling, to new projects that I'm working on now, have really been in that food and beverage, using that network. We started, and I mean, my wife Laura and my partner Steve started Castaway Coffee probably back in 2019. But the way we got into that was really because of my experience in Sixto Packaging. One of the large sectors we work in is coffee. For many years, I've created relationships with customers and green coffee suppliers and packaging equipment guys and distributors and you name it, across the whole spectrum of coffee. I joined an organization called the Southern Coffee Association probably 10, 12 years ago. One of my customers, Danny Fernandez, who owns a coffee roasting plant in Tampa, he says, join this organization and don't sell. Don't go in there and start selling. Just suck it up, spend the money, pay the fees, go to their golf tournaments, go to their networking events, and make friends. And that was the best advice anyone in that industry gave me. That's exactly what I did. I started out the first 2 years, spent, I don't know, $5-10 grand a year going to these events and all that.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lick of business, didn't try. Year 3, somebody came up to us, hey, I have this problem. You think you could help me out?
Because they already knew you were in the packaging.
They already knew. And by year 4, by year 5, they were like dominoes. We started getting several coffee roasters, several co-packers, and really grew our coffee business significantly. With time, I became the president of the Southern Coffee Association. It was a 3-year term. I had to go secretary, vice president, president. So I did that. It's a real social organization. It's not your typical trade organization. This is an organization where we get together once or twice a year. We play golf, we drink, and we just talk among friends about all aspects of coffee and football and fishing.
Perfect. That's like the
so it's the perfect trifecta. So it was there that I said, we got something good. It was at that same time when Laura, your sister, said, well, I kind of want to start getting back to work. She's been raising kids for a bit, and I said to her, well, why don't we start something where you could work from home or do fulfillment of something. And we started thinking about it, and I said, well, maybe a coffee e-commerce company. This is pre-COVID. This is 2018 or so. So I reached out to Steve Diossy, our partner, marine artist, out of the blue, just sent him a message saying, hey, you think you want to license some of your artwork? I kind of like your artwork. I would love to create a coffee brand around it. And that's when he, within a couple hours, answered to say, no, I'd love to meet with you and see if we could
do business together.
No,
the artwork's incredible. This is some of the artwork here. This is the espresso, because the coffee can be incredible, but the packaging really leads the people in, because coffee in Miami and even obviously through the United States, everything's like a yellow or red or green, but the artwork that he's done is incredible.
Yeah, and this particular one, I mean, there's a couple things, and I'll get to the actual blend of coffee here in a second. But when we created. And it took, it wasn't like we just came up with the name overnight. We sat down, we tried to think, well, what do we love? What was the first thing I told you I love? I love the ocean. I love fishing. I love, being out there. So and his artwork was all marine based, And so we came up with Castaway Coffee, which is a laid back, beach style chill brand. We're not too serious. We have cartoons on the artwork. We're not a very strict logo, suit and tie type company. No, it's laid back. He came up with the Pelican, which he has inspiration from like Gilligan's Island and other 80s shows. But at the same time, we wanted to do something good. Capitalism is great. We all have to make a living. We all want to make money and create legacies and wealth for our families. But we also wanted to give back. And what better mission can you have in South Florida than protecting our waterways and our oceans? So when we started out, we said, well, we want to give back somehow. But at the same time, as we all know, that space, there's a stigma that if you're an environmentalist, you're against fishing, you're against hunting. people get up on this soapbox and start preaching almost ignorantly.
Yeah.
And my philosophy as a fisherman and a hunter is that there's nobody that cares more about the ocean or about
than the
environment than the hunter and the fisherman.
Yeah.
Not only do we pay licenses to fish and hunt that go
we really
for
protect. We want to protect.
We really protect. I mean, if you look at the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Wild Turkey Federation, the Captains for Clean Water that are really doing a huge effort right now on all the water discharges. These guys aren't, just against, corporations or all the other stuff.
Yeah, they're really trying to protect what they love.
They're really trying to protect what they love. These are fishermen that are saying this is damaging our resources, our livelihood. We can't take people out fishing. We can't do commercial fishing. You can't even go out on the beach when you have these red tides that are being caused by, the water discharge.
So how are you guys contributing?
So we partnered up with a couple organizations. A main organization we partnered up with is the CCA, the Coastal Conservation Association of Florida. So they have a couple aspects they do. They do everything from clam restoration in the Indian River Lagoon, dropping artificial reefs out in the ocean for fishermen and divers and creating habitats. They also, of course, have a lobbying arm protecting recreational fishing rights, and they're very heavily involved in everything from counts of fish, red snappers out in the Gulf, groupers, making sure that the decisions made by our government have real science-based data for those decisions. So we felt that those organizations are and especially the CCA was a great partner for us. And so we've created this line of coffee to get out. Right now, it's all direct to consumer. We're on Walmart.com. We're on Amazon. We're on our website. We're getting ready to get rolled out into several retailers. And other than, of course, in the Cuban coffee, we have 6, 7, 8 different coffees, the whole gamut from light roast, dark roast, all specialty coffee. I mean, this isn't
this is like
$5.99. This is
incredible because even
coffee.
Even this, a few months ago, I got the bag, and then I was, we're talking about, hey, when are we gonna get a pod? We're like all Nespresso, and then they're like, oh, it's coming soon,
Yeah.
And then it came out.
Yeah, the K-Cups came out, I think March or mid-February. Nespresso pods, the little capsules, are coming out now in about 2 weeks.
And then now we have like cold brews now.
And now, April 1st, at a couple of events, we're getting ready to launch our cold brew line, Nitro Cold Brew line, which is we have a vanilla and a mocha and a can ready to drink. Again, with the Coffee on a Mission, the partnerships with the CCA, the 1% for the Planet, which means that we get audited to make sure that the money that we say we're giving organizations really is, because we wanted to show that that we're doing what we're saying and legitimize what we're doing. So this is an important part of who I am because it goes back to that civil society aspect of helping out your country in different ways. Working with the CCA and the coffee is one aspect of what we're doing, what I'm doing to help our environment. In the plastics industry, I'm on the board of an organization out of the University of Florida called the Consortium for Waste Circularity. You mentioned plastics early on, and there's organizations and a stigma out there that plastics is the problem. And our belief is that all waste is the problem. So at the Consortium for Waste Circularity, what we're doing is we're studying and funding, putting our money where our mouth is, to fund research on advanced recycling, dealing with robust plasma gasification and syngas, which all that means is...
Yeah, what does it mean?
You stick any waste from plastic, cans, anything, bio waste, anything in this large canister with a plasma gasifier, heats it up to 5,000, 6,000 degrees. It creates something that's called syngas, which you can use. It's a building blocks to create resin, biofuels, many other things. Wow. So that research is being done right now at the University of Florida. It's massive. It's the future. We believe that real solutions and science-based solutions are important. It's not about greenwashing. It's not about banning straws or banning plastics, because we need packaging. This world needs packaging, whether it's food, whether it's medicine. you can't live in a world without plastic. Everything in this world is plastics, and it's finding the solutions, real solutions. I was recently, as recent as last week, I was named to the board of the Institute for Sustainable Water Solutions of the Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which again plays into this role where we're planning to work together with both projects, the consortium and the stuff we're doing with Castaway Coffee, to find solutions for South Florida on waste and water. So I'm looking forward to work with them in that regard. So it goes hand in hand, the work we're doing at Sixto Packaging, at Castaway Coffee, with our, I can't really call it philanthropic work, because we're not just donating money and to pat ourselves in the back. We're trying to find real solutions with organizations or institutions like University of Florida that.
I think it's important because a lot of companies make a lot of money, but they really don't help. If anything, they really hurt in the long run. And I think it's important that businesses like this really make an impact, but they also spearhead the revolution of where we're gonna do something. And that's why I really find this new business inspirational, because it's kind of like what we're doing at John Bell. Is like, if we're gonna, building is like the least of what we really do. Like the actual building of it is honestly is the easiest thing. If all we did with that, our life would be a lot easier, a lot more simpler. But there's so much more that we're trying to do, because at the end of the day, we're really trying to make a massive impact in our community, and also make an impact for our clients, so on and so forth. So I'm sure that everything that you did, and Laura's done, and your partners have done at Castaway has been super easy, right? Like you haven't had everything is like you thought about it, it happened, and then because you make it look easy. Has it been as easy as it looks?
Is it Pitbull that says fake it till you make it? No, nothing in life that's worth doing is easy. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. It takes hours and hours. Running 2 full-time jobs is never easy. And it takes sacrifice, it takes dedication, it takes risk. It takes putting up your personal money and time, which is more valuable than money, for a vision, that sometimes only you have. A vision that other people say, why, what are you doing? Why coffee? Why are you doing this? And precisely, some people say, why are you doing this? You don't need this. And sometimes I answer, well, that's precisely why I'm doing it, because I don't need it, because I want it, because it's something I believe in, from both sides. That the product is good, that the branding has legs, and that the mission behind it is something worth doing. But no, of course, there's challenges.
What do you think is the biggest struggle that you've had to face with Castaway that maybe you knew it was going to be a struggle, but maybe you didn't?
I mean, we're still in our infancy. I mean, we officially launched about a year and 2-3 months ago. The biggest challenge, I would say, is scaling up. We have the advantage on the packaging side that obviously I know quite a bit about packaging and about getting. I have graphic designers. I have. We designed this can. We went from concept to print a can in a week, and it's actually getting filled now. So in 2 or 3 weeks, we developed a whole line that could take months for some other people to do, but we had the relationships and that expertise to get that done. What we're lacking and what we're developing now and the challenges we're facing now is scaling and going into that consumer marketing. My expertise has always been business-to-business selling, which is pick up the phone, call someone,
and get in 20 bakeries.
Exactly. Building that relationship up, but this product
on a personal level.
This product, we got to get this out and make sure that the whole public knows about it and it calls to them. The graphics have to be there. The product has to taste great. The price points have to be there. And you have to get it in front of them, and that's the challenge. Getting it into the buyer's hands, getting it into the public's hands. Get Facebook marketing, Instagram, TikTok, all these things that are applications that I didn't necessarily use before. I had to get up on and learn, and now I have some people helping me. But when it was early on, it was me with my camera videotaping some crappy content to try and get something up posted. So that was a challenge.
I think those times are important though, because I feel like, one of the other episodes that in the first episode of the Who's John series, I talk about I would never ask for someone to do something that I personally wouldn't do. And that's just the way that I try to lead people. It's hard for me sometimes to lead them in a different capacity other than just by pure, example. How do you consider yourself as a leader? Because I also think that you also do a lot of things by yourself, but I'm sure you also lead a lot of people. How do you feel that you've been as a leader, you've grown as a leader, and the struggles that you've faced, and like they say, like the lonely path forward?
Right. No, absolutely. And just to go back 1 second here to what you mentioned about doing it for yourself and showing your employees, that's something that definitely my father and uncles, instilled in me at an early age. I mean, they're the type of guys that would do anything and everything.
And still do.
At 78, 79 years old, they're still doing it. They're still there at 5 o'clock in the morning for some reason because they love it. They love it, and they want to show that example not only to us, my cousins, myself, my son now, but our employees, that they're willing to do it. So,
and I think
we demand you to do it, but
But I also think to themselves. I think from afar, you do that 5 a.m. because you want to do it for your, for the employees, and then you do it for your kids, and then I feel like they're almost at a point in their career where they're doing it, for them too, to say like, hey, I still, no matter how old I am, I still can do, what I've always wanted to do, and I'm going to continue to lead as long as I can.
Right. So going into my style of leadership, it's kind of the same way. I mean, right now in Castaway, it's been a grassroots bootstrapping campaign where we're doing this year, since the first week of January, we've done festivals, seafood shows, boat shows, just about every single weekend, going out there, selling, talking to people, selling cups of coffee, like if it was all about survival of selling a cup of coffee. And 2 or 3 people have told me, but you're not making money. You're making $2,000 working 12 hours selling coffee. How is that productive? And what they don't understand is what I was trying to do is not make money on selling coffee. What I was trying to do is get people to see the brand, get brand awareness, taste the product, say, wow, this is pretty darn good, and give me that card. And then they go back home and they order, and then they reorder, and then they reorder, and then they reorder.
The good thing is the coffee tastes good.
You make the sale once, and you get recurring income because that's what food is. You eat or you drink, and you throw it away, and you get another one. You get more. So it becomes a passive income, not passive because there's a lot of work involved, but that sale that you made once at a show will have recurring benefits hopefully for quite some time, and that's why I chose this business to create this coffee brand. It's a lot of hard work in the beginning, but God willing, the fruits of our labor will.
And the coffee,
down the line.
The coffee itself, where's this coffee from? Like
we have coffee beans from Colombia, from Guatemala, from Brazil, from India. So we have different coffee beans depending on the roast. It's all roasted in our facility in Sarasota, where we're packing all the coffee, the K-cups and espresso pods. The only thing we're not packing ourselves is the cans. We have a co-packer in Virginia packing it right now. And as we scale, we'll see. Nothing.
I was going to say until we buy a machine that we do.
Well, we got to scale. The beverage market is a little bit different. Margins are different.
How's the beverage to the coffee? I was about to ask you that. What's the difference?
Of course, the margins are much better on bagged coffees and K-cups and espresso than cans. Cans is a cutthroat market because here we're competing against soda, we're competing against brewed coffee, but also energy drinks. So there's a lot of competition in that. But we wanted to go ahead and reach out to a younger generation, and so that's why we did the nitro cold brews. Part of our I guess the demographic that we're focusing hard on is the ocean-loving community, whether it's fishermen, divers, surfers. It's a lot easier to take a can up, a 6-pack of cans up on the boat fishing and drinking midday when you're then
bring a cafetera
and make your Cuban coffee. It's very difficult. You can't do that on the boat. So that's kind of why we decided. That.
It just everything is competitive, and when a lot of people go through wanting to start a business. I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody kind of wants to do it, but to do it is a lot harder, than to want to do it. What do you think that you'd want to tell to somebody that might have it? The only thing but they have everything, but they also have fear. What do you think that really takes to really run a business, especially in your market?
I would definitely say the fear never goes away. Late at night when you're relaxing at home, having a nice Oak and Eden bourbon. Mm-hmm. You get those doubts, and I'd say that's normal. If you don't have doubts, you can't overcome them. If you don't have fear, you can't be brave. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to realize they're there, check them, say relax, breathe,
suppress them,
create a plan, and follow your plan.
What are you scared of? What do you think is your biggest fear?
Letting down people that have supported me over the years. My philosophy is never ever give up. Always keep on moving forward. But you never want to let anybody down. So that's always a fear. Been there, done that. Have the T-shirt. But just perseverance. There's my number one attribute is I will never give up. It doesn't mean I won't say, okay, this project isn't going to work because I've already analyzed certain financials or whatever. It's time to put it to bed.
Yeah.
That's not quitting. Stopping isn't quitting.
Yeah.
Giving up is exactly. So I'm going to do everything I can within reason to make sure.
Because it's not only the coffee. There's a lot of businesses that you have. You have also Sixto Global Capital. There's you're in the salmon business. You're in the
we were in the salmon business. We sold, did well actually on some salmon farms. Those were passive investments where we didn't necessarily have.
We didn't have to do that though,
No, but I think diversification is important of your assets. It's we have our core business, which you never touch. But at the same time, every time I've invested in whether it's cryptocurrencies, and if I have a profit, I take it out and try and invest it in real estate or whiskey or something, to diversify.
You keep mentioning the whiskey. What? Talk to us about the whiskey. Like whiskey is so there's Oak and Eden, right? So talk to us a little bit about the Oak and. How did you get into this partnership with them? So
Oak and Eden is a brand of bourbon out of Texas, out of Dallas, Bridgeport, Texas, near Dallas. They have a great website where you can customize your own flavors.
No, I customize. I put my name on it and everything here.
Yeah, they have in-bottle finishing, so they're putting that second flavor profile, that second barrel in the bottle, giving it good taste.
Is that this thing in the middle here?
They call that the spire. So the surface area of that little wooden spire is supposed to give the whiskey the same amount of flavor as a full barrel.
Wow.
And it's all patented, and I was introduced by a good friend of mine who I've done several other investments and businesses with him, and I liked it. I tasted it, I liked the product, liked their vision, and decided to put some capital in there, and then I actually did a partnership with them for Castaway Coffee. We have a bourbon infused coffee where we actually use their coffee their bourbon in the infusion process. Wow. So it's again a little bit of co-branding.
There's a lot of co-branding going on.
A lot of co-branding, it's
but you're really
relationships.
Yeah, but all those relationships and you're at like the things that you're really good at and the things that that you have most value, you're bringing together to really try to reap the best benefit and to make the biggest impact. Which I think a lot of people don't do that. I feel like a lot of people they go into like these. They want to start a business, but it's so not far-fetched, but they get into this thing that they have to start learning a completely new business, and that time where they're learning, it should have been like at the same time, with whatever they're else were doing, and then some of these companies just don't make it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I think that you always have to be growing. I think complacency is the enemy. I don't think you should ever be complacent in life. I think if you're not growing, you're dying. I mean, that's a philosophy I use in sales and in business, and at a personal level. If you're just sitting watching TV, relaxing, and not doing anything productive with your life, I think you're down a slippery slope.
Yeah, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
You're getting worse, exactly. So at a professional level, I tend to read a lot. I tend to talk to people, and someone a long time ago told me, you can never be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, there's a problem. You're not surrounding yourself with the right people. So I try and find people that are either leaders in their industry or businesses or organizations or whatever, and try and learn from them and become, let them become my mentor. And it's helped in the packaging industry. I have a core group of guys who are a heck of a lot older than I am, 20, 30 years older than I am, who have given me a lot of knowledge and tips and sales and relationships with their network of people. In the coffee, the same deal. So it's important.
No, and I think it's something that really sets you apart, because it's something that, what really makes Castaway Coffee, what really makes Felipe. I don't want to actually answer the question for you. What do you think sets you apart as a person and as an entrepreneur, as a father? What's something that you think that really sets you apart?
I think it's my perseverance. I would say that's. I would consider it an attribute, of mine. Is, like I said, I'll never give up. I find a way. I never say no. I say, give me a few minutes. Let me find an answer. Let me find a solution. I'm a very rational person. I tend to think there's a solution to everything. Sometimes I haven't found them, but there's always a solution. So it's definitely perseverance, and that goes back to actually an old coach of mine back in the elementary days. I mean, I'm not a very small guy here. I'm a pretty chunky guy, and I was always chunky. He passed away. He was a professor at Miami-Dade, and he was a baseball coach and a cross-country coach of mine, Herman Munoz. He taught me to finish every single race. Since kindergarten, my parents made me run cross-country, and I was a little fat boy running cross-country. It wasn't a good fit, but I did it, and I finished every single race, last place, many of them, didn't matter. But I think that, that was key in teaching me.
It's crazy.
Never to give up. And to this day, Herman Munoz, every time I talk to one of his kids or his wife, I tell him, God rest his soul, but he's one of the, biggest mentors I ever had in life. And
that's pretty cool. There's a lot of people that we've had on the show already that they have somebody like that. I have somebody, like Pedro. If Pedro wouldn't have told me, hey, stop doing architecture, stop doing engineering. You need to be a GC and you need to study construction management. And sometimes I think we forget, because we're constantly wanting to push the envelope, and sometimes it's kind of have to look back at the younger generation and really try to bring them in. And I was actually thinking about that today. I was like, there's so many people that have played a massive role in my life. Who am I making an impact in their life? And I don't know if I have that many. And it actually was a gut check, because I'm like, I'm here because there's so many people, and so many people that helped me growing up, and it's something that's really important. So it's something that I really want to do. Something I didn't think that's something I wanted to do until I was thinking about it, because everybody keeps talking about people like Mr. Munoz, but.
Well, I think you're doing it. I think this podcast is a good way of telling your listeners what you've gone through, and what other people how they've helped you, and you giving that knowledge over to the next generations. One of the things I'm very lucky. I'm a lucky person, because I get to work with my father and my son right now at Sixto Packaging, and seeing my son develop and bringing his own ideas and his own new blood into the company, like I did, 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. It's refreshing. And, he has his military background, which, I took this company, Sixto Packaging, from a very small family-owned company, and was able to grow it in my real crazy, disorganized way significantly. Well, he's coming in with his military standard operating procedures and processes, and implementing those ideas, which is taking us to another level. So hats off to him. I'm very proud of him, and I think he's taking us, the next 10 years.
What a legacy.
I see that growing. He's fourth Felipe.
Wow.
to be
No,
involved in Sixto Packaging. So.
What your family has done, it's like everybody's gotten better, you know, and I feel that, you know, my parents, they came here with nothing, you know, and one of the biggest things that I really try to do is that, you know, I really try to try to be as the best I can in the time that I'm here and really try to make an impact. You know, and I don't work with my dad, you know, and I wish honestly, I probably wish I would. Sometimes I wish I wouldn't, you know, but it's an incredible.
Rafa, yo no quiero trabajar contigo. Just a joke.
No, I wouldn't want to work with him either. But it's just it's incredible, like how that company has really, you know, it's who knows where it's going to be in, you know, in 100 years. So I'm excited for it. But what do you think is next, Felipe? Like what's? I feel like every time that we're talking, it's like you're pushing either, you know, it's always pushing the limits. Do you think there is a limit in how far you want to go and the energy that you have?
I mean, I think there's a physical limit. You know, you always want to keep on going. I think there's always room to keep improving. You know, sometimes you don't have to just grow up. You could grow sideways, meaning you could become better. You could become more efficient. That's still growth. I think right now, Sixto Packaging has a bright, beautiful future. We're going to have some significant growth in the next, you know, 3 to 5 years. I mean, we have a plan. We're implementing that plan. There, it's a little different because I have a team set up in place, which allows me to step back from certain things and play with projects like Castaway, where the team is in its infancy. You know, we have.
It takes a lot of time.
The 3 founders. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of thinking. I mean, thinking of every little detail, because the details are the most important thing. Those people that say don't sweat the small stuff, I don't believe that.
They're losers.
They're losers. The details will sink you. The details will make it. Make you. The devil is in the detail. You got to focus on every little thing.
No, I've seen it.
That's critical.
Even with the podcast, you know, I got into something that I really have had no idea, and I still kind of have no idea about. And it's like every time that I go into something, it's like peeling an onion. Like it never stops. And I was telling Ron today, like we've gone through so much just to start the podcast. And I even told Isabella today, like I really, really love what we're doing. Not so much the content it is, and I'm happy for the guests, but like me as a person, like really developing as a person, as a leader, like the last thing I want to do is like be stagnant in something or you know, like feel like I'm not growing and not have like that feel like I'm alive. Like this, you know, these type of projects, Castaway, you know, their investments, the podcast, like we got to continue like to really push the limit, because, you know, essentially, you know, if we're not doing that, I just have a tough time sleeping well at night. So, but I'm really happy that you're here. I'm really happy that you came and really talked about a lot of things, you know, from where you've grown up, the struggles you've gone through, you know, and, you know, coming back, you know, and really making your life, from where you were at that, you know, printing press, you know, there, you know, starting again at the bottom, like you said, and, you know, making it all the way up. And I'm very confident that where we're at now, where you're at, is still not the top. So we're going to continue growing, and hopefully we have you on again. So
sounds good.
So that's another episode of the Set Apart podcast, and it's an incredible opportunity where we just learn from people in our community, people that have had businesses for 60, 70 years, even before, you know, coming to Miami, that have really made a massive difference. And there's a lot of people out there that you are, you know, like his grandparents in Cuba, like you are making something for the next generation. So just stay motivated, stay positive, and know that what you're doing, and, you know, you may not see the seed, you know, flourish, but I guarantee you it's down there. Just keep watering it, and good things are going to happen. So stay tuned.